I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Board of County Commissioners. I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to start with a moment of silence. I'd like to remember there was a McPherson County Commissioner that passed away this weekend, and Tonganoxie had lost a former mayor a couple weeks ago. Funerals this week, and then there was Linda Hunn has passed away. Her husband worked here at the county for many years. Her daughter, I believe, worked here, and I believe Linda also worked here. And then I had another longtime Tonganoxie resident, Bill Plake, had passed away. So if you could remember them folks, I'd appreciate it. Roll call. Commissioner Cause and Commissioner Smith are present. Commissioner Culverson is absent today. Also like to recognize the candidates that are here today. Troy Smith, Chad Shimke, Curtis Arope. Did I miss anyone? Curtis could possibly be here representing the city of Tonganoxie, city council member, and we got Mr. Ken Miller here from City of Lansing. Did I miss anyone? Okay. Then we'll move on to public comment. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, good morning. David Van Paris. Prior to moving to public comment, I would like to state I do believe Commissioner Cause has a comment to make.
Yes, thank you. Just for the purpose of making certain that we respect the time of the individuals who come to the Board of County Commissioners meeting to conduct business that has been placed on the agenda, and to make certain that we don't take any more of their time than is absolutely necessary. The Board of County Commissioners is going to re-implement the public comment time restriction. I apologize that it was not adhered to in the past, but I feel that it is necessary for us to adhere to the policy in the future. That being said, I'll go ahead and read the policy to you. When providing public comment, please state your name and address for the record. Public comments should be limited to agenda items only and should be exchanged in a respectful and positive way. A 3-minute time limit shall apply to all public comments. Public comment period of the County Commission meeting is at the beginning of each meeting directly following the Pledge of Allegiance. Public comment will not be accepted after public comment period is officially ended. Should you have additional concerns, the commissioners are always available immediately following the meeting or by appointment. I would also like to add that there's always additional public comment when there is something being voted on by the commissioners, and then we reopen the public comment section again. But I appreciate everyone's respect for this policy and hope that we can adhere to it in the future. Thank you.
That being said, we'll open up public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come forward, state your name and address.
Joe Herring Surveying, 315 North 5th Street. There's a discussion item today for discussion only. I was just making sure that is going to be open to the public for comments during that discussion. The local road policy.
I have no problem with that because it is a discussion item.
No problem with that. That's why I said we will open up as is appropriate.
Yeah, we said agenda voting items, but this isn't being voted on today. So
no, it's not. It's a discussion. So it's, I guess we could almost consider it a workshop, but it's not a workshop. But yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak at this time? Seeing no others, we'll close public comment and move on to administrative business. Mr. Van Paris, we have any administrative business?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Cos, there's no administrative business before you this morning.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Commissioner Cos, you have any question or concern on the consent agenda?
Yes, prior to approving the consent agenda, I would like to have removed from the bills to be paid Lexico. I had indicated prior to this time that anytime there might be a perception that I have any level of conflict of interest, that I would not vote on those items. So if we could move the payment to Lexico to next week's agenda when Mr. Culbertson can be present, I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Your motion is to accept the consent agenda minus the Lexico bill. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I have a motion. I'll second that. Any further discussion on the consent agenda items?
No.
Then voting?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. I guess we are ready for Pat Barnhart. Morning, Pat.
Morning. Pat.
Pat Barnhart is here for the Alcohol and Drug Council. Each year, the Alcohol and Drug Council has a period of time that people can apply for funds to be used for alcohol-free activities in the county. Currently, the Alcohol and Drug Fund has $118,000. This money only comes from distributions that are made to Leavenworth County from the state of Kansas. I would like to publicly thank Pat and her team. For many years, they have done an excellent job in preparing this presentation for the Board of County Commissioners, and I know that they have helped many schools and different organizations in Leavenworth County with this process. So thank you, Pat.
I agree. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. I'm really excited to see the latest youth center at Tonganoxie.
Yes, we
sure.
had 3 new ones this year.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'd like
we
to
like-
see the program go.
yes. I would like to acknowledge the other members of the council, if I may.
Please
Yes.
do.
All right. Laura Thornton is our vice chair. John Groves is the treasurer. And Peg Frotzel is the secretary. And the other members are Barbara Adolphson, Emily Bean, June Foley, Deborah Greger, Teresa Groves, and Lori Fullington.
And give them our thanks.
Thank you, and tell them thanks. I didn't realize there were so many involved.
Well,
Your
try to
name's the
make
only
sure.
one I always hear.
Oh, well, they don't, most of them are at work, so they didn't
Yeah.
get, they don't get to come, and, but we pretty much have the county covered.
Okay. Yeah. You have any questions?
No, I have no
Pat, I
questions.
mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yes, it is.
I'm just like glad to see that this is growing and there's
Yep.
more people finding out about it and people applying.
It's great.
So, entertain a motion to.
Motion to approve the recommendation by the Leavenworth County City Drugs and Alcohol Abuse Council.
Okay. Have a motion, and I'll second that. Any further discussion on this? Voting?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for everything you do, Pat.
Absolutely.
Thank
And
you
your,
very much.
and your staff or people that are on your board. I guess, are these funds available immediately?
Yes, I just was visiting with Pat and told her we would have that check available for her on Friday, and that way she can make the distributions of that money to the entities.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. Thank you. We have an appointment to the Delaware Township. That's kind of your area, Commissioner.
We have an unexpired term to fill for the Delaware Township treasurer position. We did release to the newspapers a news release asking for applicants to apply. We had 2 applicants apply, Travis Hunsaker and Thomas Dials. You both have the letters that they submitted for consideration in the appointment of the Delaware Township treasurer position. This position will be vacant until January 2021. This is an elected position. Any candidate that wishes to file for the term will have to file by June 1st of 2020.
Okay. Are the people that are put in for this, are they here today?
Neither one is here today.
No one is here?
I'm not sure that we let them know they were on the agenda.
No, I just didn't
I
know
don't
if they
believe
came.
so, no.
Okay. It's kind of your township for right now.
Sort of, kind of.
Till next week. It's your area.
It's my area. Well, I would recommend personally that we give consideration to Tom Dials for
Okay.
the appointment to the Township Board.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Cos, is that in the form of a motion?
I didn't know. Okay, that is a form of a motion. I move that we approve Tom Dials to fill the empty seat for the Delaware Township
Position of Township Treasurer.
Treasurer.
Okay. I can respect that. It's your area. It's your choice. I'll second that motion. Have a motion and second. Any further discussion on that? Voting.
Aye.
Aye.
I will notify Mr. Dials, and he will come in, and we'll give him the oath of office for that.
Thank you.
And I appreciate folks putting their name in,
Yes.
Mr. Hunsaker and
Well-
Mr. Dials, because a lot of times we have trouble getting people to take these
We'll also
positions.
contact Mr. Hunsaker and let him know. So, thank you.
Appreciate anybody that puts their name out there.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, so we got a planning and zoning case DEV-19031.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioner.
Morning.
First thing, I just wanted to point out a correction that this is case number DEV 19031.
Is it, okay, all right, we're good.
Okay.
So it's DEV-01,
Um,
or 10031.
DEV-19-031.
19.
Okay, so it's wrong on the
Okay.
packet, but right on the, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I said, wasn't it, the first one?
Okay.
Okay,
This is an application for a temporary special use permit for a bicycle race on county roads. The Gravel Grinder Nationals is an event to be held on Saturday, April 13th, 2019. This is the first time this event has requested a special use permit in Leavenworth County. The race starts in Lawrence at 7 a.m. and riders are expected to be on county roads in western Leavenworth County between approximately 8 a.m. and noon. The roads will be open to traffic during this time. A team of support and gear and rescue vehicles will be on the course to follow and transport stopped riders. There will also be first aid rider present who rides with the cyclists. Riders are required to carry a cell phone to contact support team or EMS. This event is presented by the United States Endurance Cycling Federation. Staff recommends approval of case number DEV 19031, temporary special use permit for Grinder Nationals, subject to conditions. The applicant is present to answer any questions you may have, as are we.
okay. We'll open up public hearing on this special use permit. Anyone here from the public wishing to speak for this special use permit? Anyone here wishing to speak against the special use permit for the Gravel Grinders Nationals? Seeing none, we'll close public hearing. Do you have any questions on it, Commissioner?
No, it seems that everything was,
Insurance, everything's in order?
everything seemed to be in place that was asked for by the various organizations throughout the county, so.
So I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve request for case number DEV 19-031, Grinder Nationals temporary special use permit.
Okay, have a motion, and I'll second that. Any further discussion? Voting?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, we're ready for the discussion on the local road policy. I believe Mr. Spicklemeyer will be taking that along with you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Cos, I'm not certain, as to Mr. Spicklemeyer's comments, I'll allow him to do so. By way of brief introduction, though.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to introduce our latest addition to the Public Works. It would be Mr. Michael Spicklemeyer. He'd be the Director of Public Works. He's probably looks familiar to some.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Spicklemeyer.
Thank you.
I know it's your first we're actually in your first hour and a half, so I hate to throw this at you, but this is for discussion only. I have no problem with discussing this, but...
Well, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Cos, if I could give introduction to this. Your county administrator conducted a review of the policy on local service roads, particularly with respect to the policy of extending or opening county roads at the request of private individuals. In reviewing the existing policy, duplications were noted, as well as problems in following and implementing the policy that had previously been adopted. The intent of the proposed amendments is to simplify the procedure whereby a county road can be extended or improved or reopened at the request of a private individual. The intent is to place the financial responsibility of that extension or opening on the person or parties requesting the extension or opening, as opposed to the taxpayers at large. Again, these are roads that would require either opening or extension to allow for a singular development, either a residence or a subdivision, as opposed to a general public utility to the county. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have regarding this. I will state that a substantial amount of time has been spent on this, so I would ask that you consider these. Please ask any questions, and again, this is for discussion only.
Well, I'll start the discussion. I've kind of got a little bit of experience in this. I agree that the county maintenance department shouldn't be building these roads, just for cost. I mean, I think we have enough local contractors that can do this work and not interrupt our maintenance schedule. The other question I have is, say you've got say it's a half a mile. Somebody's bought a piece of property that's 1,000 feet in. They are going to have to improve the road. Well, they're the second property and not the first property. So that first person's going to have to pay to have that road for the first half mile. And then that party can, after the road's done, can go ahead and then build. Is that correct?
I believe the policy is written in your scenario, Commissioner, would require the party farther in to pay for the improvement costs, as it is being requested and caused by that person's wishes to develop. The other property owner would not be required to contribute to those costs.
That's correct. So, but in developing it in front of the whole property, our policy said you got to have 300 foot of road frontage or something on this. Developing and making a developer pay, or person building a house, you shouldn't call it a developer, because a developer would do all that. But making a person pay to improve the road in front of their whole property, say they have 2640 as a frontage, and they only need 300 feet to build a house, and then county's going to maintain that road with no houses on it, and it's going to be hard surface probably, or it could be. So, I mean,
And Commissioner Smith, that's a very valid policy point for your discussion and
I
consideration.
mean, the county's got enough roads to maintain that people actually live on. You know, I just hate to maintain a hard surface road that nobody lived on, if it were to be hard surface. I mean, to me, it's a case-by-case basis on these, you know, but that's just my opinion. You have any comments on it, Commissioner?
Well, I think you brought up a good point, but
I mean, if somebody's,
but I would think, I guess if somebody really wants their road paved enough, that they'd be willing to pay for the entire,
yeah, but what benefit is it to the homeowner that's going to only need 300 feet of road frontage to pay, say they have 2,640 feet road frontage?
right.
To do that, and what benefit is it to the county to maintain it that nobody lives on?
No.
And then somebody may or may not in the future build on down the road or hook to it. I mean,
Oh, I agree.
we're doing
I
a
agree.
lot of what ifs,
Yeah.
you know.
I think those are the new changes.
Something that we.
This for discussion, Mr. Berry?
Yeah, I just,
Could you come forward, because people don't know who's talking in the back, and I do get a lot of questions and who was making that comment. Thank you.
Glenberry District 1. I just, to me, you're going back to the same thing we've discussed up here for years, and that's paving half a road
Right,
and
and
stopping
we-
it. And we were not going to do that. We've talked about that for 2
Mm-hmm.
years.
Yeah.
That we weren't going to start a road at one end, and unless it ended up on another asphalt road. Now we're talking about we're going to pave so many 100 feet and stop again.
Well, it may not be. These are roads that we're talking about that are, they're minimum maintenance roads.
Right.
And somebody buys a piece of property and wants to build a home there, they have to upgrade the road to county standards. Or it could be a developer wanting to cut a road into a piece of property.
And build a bunch of houses.
And build a bunch of houses.
And we're going to say that they shouldn't have to take care of that road on that
Well,
whole
it
strip of
depends.
frontage.
It depends, it's a to me, it's a case-by-case basis. Now, if it's going to be, that it's going to be 1,000 feet from another road, that somebody else is going to do it.
But from the outside looking in, if you're going to say it's case by case, that means if I'm your friend and you like me, you might do it for me, but if I pissed you off at some point, you won't.
You'd have
You
to
know what I
have,
mean?
you'd
That's
have to
where
have 3 friends up here.
the case by case basis, I don't know, it just tends to lead people to think that there's something. If I get along with the 3 commissioners that haven't been up here in your face about anything all year, I might get it approved, but if I've been up here being a thorn in your side every week, you're gonna say no.
Well, I'd like to think the
That's-
decisions are
that's
based on
good.
common sense.
You
Right,
know?
that's
I would
what-
think that too, but there are people out there that don't think
Perception.
that.
Right, it's
Yeah.
perception.
That's all I'd say.
But if the road's going to end up and drop off on a cliff, I don't think we should build a road up to the cliff, you know.
It ends on asphalt.
Yeah, and some of these roads wouldn't be asphalt, they would be just a gravel road extension, unless the person wanted to do the dust abatement program and pay the I believe it's something $13 a foot this year. But that's why I said, and when we're talking about the access management policy, I thought when we passed that, we were encouraging people to cut a road in, so we had one access to a main arterial road. But it just depends on the plat and how the subdivision's plat, or if it's going to have a replat in the future or anything like that, or a phase 1, phase 2. That, I've said enough. I'm going to let Mr. Herring speak now.
Joe Herring again, thank you. The couple questions here, more like rural projects. So this doesn't pertain to newly dedicated right-of-way? The
What? I
part
think-
of having to extend the road all the way to the other side of the property line?
Well, this is a policy on local service roads, but
So right-of-way has to be existing in place right now?
for what we're talking about
Right.
today,
Okay.
but I understand what you're talking about too, if we're cutting in a new road.
Right, putting in a cul-de-sac, proposing a
Right.
cul-de-sac, and just making
Well,
sure
this
this
now,
policy
this doesn't say you
change-
have to put in a cul-de-sac, you just gotta have a turnaround for a bus, that could be a driveway, this, on this.
Okay, but that is
But
just,
it'd be better if it was a cul-de-sac, yeah.
okay, just making sure that clarification that this is not a new.
Did you get a copy of this?
Oh, I did, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
thank you.
Did you read it?
I did read it.
Okay, all right.
I just like to clarify something.
All right, no,
Sometimes
and
get interpreted
it is
different
two
ways
different things, but,
in meetings.
but then again, it's the part in there about the, extending the road in front of the property, the whole property, I think, is in the other policy also.
Right, so
Right.
so we had two kind of recent roads that have used this, the Polly Farm and the Seaber Morgans, that did it on, maybe that was 219th off of Millwood Road.
Yes,
He initially
yes,
only did the first
yes,
1,000 feet to
yes.
the driveway. This policy would have made him go all the way,
in front of his property.
right. All the
I
way
don't know how
north.
much his property
It
was.
was a half mile.
It was a half mile.
Right, but if
So
they
that's
only did the first
2640.
1,000 and they did it off the RIF, this would make him basically have to pay for it
Mhm.
and do it all the way to the north line. Much like the Polly Farm only went X amount of feet, 300, 400 feet, and instead of taking it up to a
Mhm.
place where the road probably wouldn't go through anyway because of the terrain and elevation.
There was a couple people on that road, wasn't there?
There was only one new construction coming in on that road.
But I think two people actually paid on that. I'd have to check.
I was just
on-
trying to put it in real life situations.
I'm checking.
Uh,
But, yeah. But the RIF, the road improvement.
So this takes it to where it's gonna be on the property owner, and I agree with your statement, constructing a road that, for individual houses, that the county's gonna have to maintain might be a waste of tax dollars in the future to maintain a road that goes to nowhere and may never be used, so.
And it may be pushing the envelope on the use of the road improvement fund also. It doesn't benefit the whole township to
Right.
improve that road. It's not a through, a lot of these roads are not through roads.
Right, they're not built for a reason right now because they had nowhere to go, so.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this policy on local service roads?
Larry Van Fleet, 17818 157 Terrace Baser. I just want someone to help me understand. We was in Mr. Joseph's office last Thursday, and we have a little proposed personal subdivision, and he's telling me that we have to take the road clear to the end of the property. Does this new currently, is there a regulation that requires us to do that?
I'm not aware of the planning and zoning regs on that. I mean, I'm not aware of planning and zoning regs. It'd have to come from planning and zoning, I guess. Is that our policy?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This is a pending application. It's a full-blown subdivision, so like a 6-lot subdivision. So we are actually reviewing that right now. It'll go before the Planning Commission and it will come before the board.
Okay. But there is a policy that says,
It's basically it's the transportation policy where you have to have a road in that location. So what we are doing is we're just recommending
okay.
that to be extended all the way through.
So the road would be extended past the platted lots?
No, up to the platted property. So it'll go to the end of the plat.
Okay. But the plat doesn't, the end of the plat would have vacant ground, is that what you're saying?
To the north, there is a section that's owned by somebody else. So when they come in to develop, they will extend the road further.
But why?
Is somebody coming in to the north?
Not right now, we don't know that.
Okay.
No.
But this is under review right now, so it will come before you.
Okay, so see, that's why it ought to be case by case basis. I mean, like I said, I've done several of these over the years, you know, that the road department all of a sudden got handed a road extension to do. And even with using the RIF monies and all that, taxpayers were subsidizing some of these road extensions to a certain extent, because we just captured our materials and stuff like that. You didn't really capture the full cost. I mean, we did, but
Right.
you didn't.
Right.
So we know how much we were subsidizing it. So yes, the cost was captured, but it wasn't passed on. So, but
So would the road that we're proposing be considered a local service road?
it doesn't have existing right-of-way, correct? You're
No,
donating a right-of-way?
It's
or
a new right-of-way.
You're
It's an
just cutting a
extension
road
of-
in a field?
Yep.
Okay,
Again, it's under review, so.
right.
And I think it would be important to also look at a map of
Of
You know,
the,
kind
of
of-
the topography of the
Right.
the plat?
of what's being
If you're
asked.
gonna drive it, if you're gonna run a road to the end of the cliff?
Right, well,
and then
yeah,
turn.
that too, I mean.
And then you have to put up a big barricade that shows you're gonna fall off the end of the world, but that's why I said it needs to be case by case.
So to help me understand, a new street, like you say, through a farm field, wouldn't be considered a local service road?
Not till it's taken over by the county, I would think. Because you're not doing an HOA and you're not gonna take care of the road, correct?
Correct.
You're gonna build the road to the county standards and we're going to inspect it and accept it. And then we're gonna take over the maintenance,
Right.
correct?
Yep.
Okay. And it will be an asphalt road or
Yes.
hard surface road?
Yep.
Okay. And it hooks to a asphalt road?
Yes.
Okay. Existing asphalt road, so.
So then it wouldn't apply.
We don't know until we've had an opportunity to review what you have proposed and the recommendations of Planning and Zoning Board. It's difficult for us to answer that question when we don't have before us the information to look at and see what brought the recommendation to us, and then we can decide. And it could be that the recommendation is not to do that. We haven't even seen what the recommendation is, so.
Well, I understand. I guess my question is, what is or was, just to help me clarify, is this new policy that you guys are looking at, will it affect that?
Mr. Van Paris, could you answer that?
I think Commissioner Cos's comments are germane in that the question being asked is more or less you're trying to get an answer before the process even starts, which makes the process rather irrelevant, and that's not the goal. As far as when this policy would come into effect, that's simply a measure of when this board would adopt it. So that as of this date, this is not the policy of the board. It's still up for discussion, and it would depend when it would be adopted by the board. In the meantime, the application can continue under the existing policy, and as to whether or not a new policy would come into play during that process, it depends upon when it's adopted.
So today, the policy does not exist to improve the road along the whole property.
Again,
Is that correct?
Commissioner, I would suggest that's a question to be answered by your planning staff through subdivision review,
Okay.
subsequently presented to your planning commission for their review and recommendations, and then submitted to you for final approval.
I guess I was just looking for a definition
Right.
of what is a local service road, but
Well, that would be
Yeah.
afterwards.
No,
It-
upon completion, It would be, but we don't know that there's,
Yeah.
what
See-
even the recommendation of the,
What I consider a local service road is any road that doesn't have a county route marker.
Okay.
Because we have two budgets in road and bridge. We have road and bridge, and then we have local service budget.
right.
And local service budget is pretty much the township roads. So we're one of the few counties that do that. There's, but of course, we're a county unit. There's some counties out there that still have township maintenance and stuff like that. So, yes, I consider this would be a local service road.
Okay, I was just trying to figure that part out.
But without seeing your plat or
Right,
knowing what your plat is, it sounds like you're gonna build up to a certain point, and that's it.
Right.
And then there's gonna be one large lot vacant, which still would be part of the plat. Is that correct?
That is probably correct.
Okay. So could you would phase one, or then maybe that would be phase two in the future, if it was ever done?
Yeah,
And
possible.
then maybe that way we're not building roads that we may or may not use in the future.
Correct.
But if you're gonna do asphalt, I would hope that they would be built on or something, because I'd hate to maintain an asphalt road that nobody drives on.
And just from a financial perspective, in general, as long as, if you were going to do this and you had a means of taking it all the way to the end, it'd be less expensive when you're doing the subdivision if it's approved. I'm just saying, cost-wise to you, at that point, then in the future, because, then you're speculating that the cost is going to go down, and you're going to have, but to do it, there has to be, remobilization, what the cost of, to you is of getting that road work done. So it's something to even, for you to think about, but we have no idea because we haven't seen it.
No, I'm not asking you to make a decision on anything. I'm just trying to figure out.
But it would be a service
In that
road.
policy, it says local service road, and that's what I was trying to understand.
Correct. And one of the things I think that prior boards, prior to my time, was that we really don't want to be improving or paying for roads that go to nowhere.
Right.
That just stop, so.
Yep.
Well, we
We'll
definitely
have to
don't
see.
want to go out there with a sprayer full of Roundup and kill the grass in it.
Right, that
You know,
too.
if nobody's going to drive on it. Like I said, I would think if that was the case, you had one large lot and you could do phase one and
Right.
say the future's going to be phase two. But that's my opinion. I'm not on the planning board.
Yeah, I think for clarification, I'm working with Larry on that project. We were given, in that meeting with Jeff Joseph, the policy on local roads, and said that it is a public works decision that the road has to be extended. And we have asked on several occasions, where in this policy does it state that? And this is the previous local road policy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we were asking, where does it state that we have to extend that road? And we haven't been given that answer back. And that's our confusion, is because we were given this local road policy in that meeting, and this affects your project. And we're talking about local road service policy today, so now it states in there you have to extend it, and it didn't state it in the day we were given this document. So I just wanted to explain where these questions are coming from.
Okay.
And the concern.
All right. And we're not passing it. We're just discussing this today.
Thank you.
We don't have to reimburse. Excuse me. So there'd be no reimbursement, of course, if like you said, someone builds a road beside someone else's property. It could be, and then that person could build too.
Commissioner, as written, there's no, what's referred to as a recapture clause. That could be added. The issue is to what extent and how it would be administered over a period of time.
Put in a water line, and you've got so many years to get your money back, because, it's just it's a nightmare to keep track of all that, people moving. They don't stay in one spot very long. So. Anyways, you have any other discussion on this, you think, or is there anything else?
No,
Mr. Chairman, if I could be presumptuous enough to offer the following suggestion, is you have a new Public Works Director taking office this very morning. This was scheduled as a discussion item. I think what you might ask is that Planning and Zoning and Public Works review this policy, provide you recommendations, and that the matter be reset on your agenda. I would also suggest, since you have an election on the 26th, you may want to set it for some time in early April, early to mid-April, to allow time for all to be brought up to speed.
I agree.
I agree. Yeah. So it's consensus that Public Works will work with Planning and Zoning, and then we'll bring it back as soon as we have 5 commissioners. All right, that's consensus on that. Is there anything else before the board this time?
I have one thing, just, if Counselor will just put a note for the county administrator. I had a request from City Commissioner Nancy Bowder to be placed on potentially the April 17th agenda to discuss some of the transportation. You know, she's been appointed to that
KCATA
the
board.
KCAT board, and she would like to bring some issues or not concern, just update us at that time, if that's at all possible. So, do you have a problem with it?
No.
There we
I think
go.
she does a really great job on that board.
Yes, she does, and so I told her I felt that she would be welcome to come and present to us.
That will be coordinated, Commissioner.
Okay. Thank you.
I have one other item.
All right.
A couple of weeks ago, some funds were allotted to the American Legion out of the Special Parks and Rec. At that time, you'd asked for other entities, schools, to come forward with any funds. So we have received one other, which we can talk about at a future meeting. But I would like it to kind of open up this opportunity. If anyone else in the county would like money for youth recreational activities, then please send me a letter, send me a request so that we can discuss that in the future. I have reached out to the Tonganoxie Rec Commission. I've reached out to some local youth associations, but I think it's important, if we're going to look at possibly allotting money towards some of these different organizations, that everyone have that opportunity. And I've reached to where I can, but you know, just a public statement that please contact me, the county clerk's office.
Okay, and we'll get the word out, and it's now it's not school-sponsored athletics.
No,
It's,
these are not
it's
school-sponsored.
Community-sponsored.
community-sponsored, basically
Youth activities, we have
faith-based organizations
Any
can apply.
organization in the community other than school-sponsored.
Okay.
I've reached
Recreational
where
activities.
I know to reach, but sometimes just opening this up to a public comment may get other organizations that I have not been able to reach out to.
Is there a website to go to for this, or is this just something you apply at the clerk's office?
Well, we have never actually opened it up like this, so this is kind of new. And
Maybe
I don't know whether to, I imagine we could put some sort of a news release in with some information about that.
On the county
On
the county's-
website?
And then we
Okay.
have our Facebook page that we
Right.
could make that announcement and share that information. And I think, you know, putting it on the county website, and then potentially Mr. Richmeyer mentioning it in his reporting of the,
Right.
the meeting
Well,
today. So.
The only reason I'm bringing it up is Commissioner Culbertson had talked about it, and due to the money having to be distributed, you know, sooner rather than later, since summertime is upon us, and a lot of those funds are used for summer programs for the youth here in Leavenworth County.
Okay. And then on the historical societies and museums,
We have sent letters out to several of the historical societies countywide, and I have received a couple of requests through. We will take that up probably the middle of May. I did ask that April 15th be the deadline, allowing them plenty of time to come forward with the way the request would be used. If they had plans on using any sort of grant money or any sort of matching money through activities that they individually do. So that will be, we probably won't even take that up till the middle of May.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you. No other business?
Not on your
All right,
agenda,
all right.
Commissioner.
Well, I'd like to take this time to recognize a local business, this Ducks Carpet Cleaning. They cleaned up the Alliance Against Family Violence building free of charge. So I just think they need recognized. I didn't even know, didn't know anything about the business, so I don't know if they're new or if they've been around for a while, but they're definitely being a part of the community.
It was an awesome thing to do, too.
Yeah. Yeah, last week I went to LCDC, and I did the Tonganoxie St. Patrick's Day Parade and did the Leavenworth St. Patrick's Day Parade. Attended City Council meeting in Tonganoxie on Monday night. We had the County Road 1 discussion.
Good.
And then tomorrow I'll be going to the Basher State of the City address.
Me too.
So you'll be there also?
I'll be there also.
All right. So.
And I went to last week, the City Commission meeting for Leavenworth, and we had the Mental Health Task Force meeting, and the parade as well. Went to the legislative update, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce on Saturday.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Good information there. So.
All right. Yeah, I couldn't make that because of Tonganoxie's parade Saturday morning.
Right.
I talked to Representative Carlskin before he went. So, anyways, and I say a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Thanks.